other things in your life. Yeah. So I want to ask you guys something. And, Justin did a good job of introducing me, and I thank you for those kind words. What were some of the other themes, other speakers in the past couple months? What did they talk about?
Oh, discipline.
Discipline? Self-discipline and self-discipline and
perseverance.
yes. Good. Good. That tells me that you were listening to not only Justin, but maybe the other month's speakers. Well, what you guys did was kind of set up this talk. I'm going to turn this other light off. I think it'll take the glare off. And then you guys were just accounting for your last couple of months. How much could you remember? And so I was doing an accountability check just to start this whole thing off. And I want to ask each of you, why are you here? Why are you at D1? Why'd you come pick this place to work out?
Actually, Hank, he sold me.
Hank sold you? Okay.
I wanted a place where I can come and work out and not be judged.
Yeah, good. And Hank did a good job there. Good. So a place you could come and not be judged. Good. What brought you to D1?
Trying to regain self-confidence.
Okay, good.
There's a good way to kind of beat it out of me, kind of force it to the surface.
Yeah, appreciate that honesty. Great, great. You're here because?
Getting better health so I can be around longer with my daughter.
Yeah, how old's your daughter?
1 year old.
20.
One.
Oh, one.
Yeah.
Yo!
Yeah, I was like, that started really early.
Put your hearing aid on there, Dr. Rainwater. 1. Yeah, so you've got lots of good time with your daughter. Yeah, and so it's a longevity thing for you. You just want to be around for her life. Good.
Same with him, and I like being able to come and do it with him because this is our time together. This is only our third time to come together, but it's nice to do this.
Good quality time.
That's
I'm
right.
going to put 2 and 2 together and say you guys are one.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, good. So you share the same 1-year-old.
That's right.
Okay. That's good. That's good. And what brings you to D1?
I was looking for a type of workout that wasn't the same old. And I have yet to, I guess I've been coming here about 5 or 6 weeks, and I haven't done the same workout yet.
Yeah.
Very positive atmosphere, very encouraging, motivative. That's what I mean. Very excellent workout.
The workouts aren't boring and it's a good motivational environment.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I know I've worked hard. I know I've worked harder than I push myself. Just a very good facility.
Good, good. Well, as I go into this accountability thing, what's nice is because there's been different audiences here this afternoon, and some have been larger, some have been younger, so I want to engage you guys a little bit more. So if this seems participatory in nature, it is. I'm going to ask you some questions and see what you think. There's about 4 things I want to do. I want to look at a definition, not an all-inclusive definition, and I want to give you 4 P's to think about. And I'm just going to challenge you before I get started. If you can just take one thing, because I believe we're supposed to be here, there's at least one thing. If you take more, we'll just call that frosting on the cake. But if you can take one thing that really speaks to you, knowing that it could be different for each of you, but if you can take one thing, I'm going to encourage you to grab something from this that speaks to you about accountability. Perhaps a definition would be it's being responsible for all the actions, all the decisions, and all the attitudes we make. I mentioned in my classes that of the gifts, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I take for granted that I'm a decision-making machine because we get to do that second after second, hour after hour. And so if we can get that gift right, that's being accountable. And then the other thing I have is that maybe accountability is answerability in terms of reporting results. And you guys kind of did that for me. You reported to me what were the other themes. This self what? Another thing that you learned here, self? Discipline and perseverance. So it's just a way of kind of checking, on what we're doing, what we're getting. Can we account for that? Is it reaching us in some way? Are these really challenging? Are these really non-dull activities? And so it's a way of answering what we're doing. And then these are the 4 P's I want to talk about. And one, there's a philosophy. Everybody's accountable to somebody, and it falls into 3 groups. We're either accounting to other people, and what are some other people you account to?
My flight, my squadron, my wingman here.
Flight, squadron, wingman, someone else that you are accountable to.
Pretty much the same thing.
It's the same thing, okay. Other than each other as husband and wives, what are some other people that you guys feel like you're accountable to? And your daughter?
Our family, the rest of our family, our moms, dads.
Okay, good, good. Someone else accountable to?
My son.
Your son. Good. Well, all of us have others in our life who are significant and meaningful that we account to, and certainly self. I think a lot of what I heard here is you guys want to be accountable to yourself. Gosh, if we can get self right, imagine what we could do with the other responsibilities we have and other people in our life. So we want to get self right. So that's an important category. And certainly accountable to God. If He's our creator, and He is, gosh, we got to get that right. And so every one of our actions account to one of those three categories. So a second P in here is priorities. And I've kind of put these groups, self, others, and God's, into two different models. And I want you to think about these because the secret is making sure you choose the right model. And the two models using these three groups, one would be the Sagi model. And you can see it's just a play on words here. That if we have the model where it's about self, we're just answering the self, we don't care about anyone else, no one else really has that much value or importance or influence in our life, then it would be self as our first choice. And second, maybe some others around us might be a part of our accountability system. And then maybe God's on the back model somewhere, on the back burner. And so I call it the Sagi model because it's not very strong. It's not the kind of model that allows us to truly be accountable. It's not including the other two significants, because you guys name others. We've already acknowledged God. So if they're on the back burners there, it's a Sagi model. I think you guys would have appreciated the youngsters that were in here. I said, well, what do you think of Sagi when you think of that word? And some said, well, it's flimsy, which I thought was a powerful word for the age that this group was in here. One said water on bread, and we've all had soggy bread, and that's not real good. So my whole point is Sagi's not a real good model. It breaks down, it's flimsy, it's not much quality. But what if we change sometimes it's called the syntax, or we change the order of these three groups? What if we could use the God first, others second, and self last, and we let that be our accountability model that fits into a nice model called the goals model. So we can always go in a direction that makes our accountability work for us and not against us. Because if we get God right, I think the others fall in place nicely. And so I'm encouraging everybody. I don't have to tell you guys because I'm confident you know this, but the goals model, I think, is the model that works best when we talk about accountability. Why is accountability important? Why is it so powerful? That's the third P. Why is that powerful? Well, have you ever thought about the I factor? And that's the circle of influence. Because you're an influencer and people influence you. So we're always in some type of circle. I call that paths crossing. And I'm going to jump down to that third point and come back to the second one. The average person on an average day has about 900 people that cross their paths either directly or indirectly. There's people, when you leave this building, there could be other people out in the parking lot and you don't know them from Adam. But they were in your circle. You saw them out there. And so we can measure the influence people have on us. If there's 900, somewhere between a -10 and a +10, people that came our way in any given day influence us. And the same with you. You're influencing them. So let's say there's 900 people that you come in contact with. Do you want to be a 10 to them, which could be encouraging, inspiring, maybe life-changing? Most of the people that we come in contact with are either a 0 or sometimes it's negative. If we're not friendly, if there's no kindness, if there's no encouragement, if we embarrass somebody, if we attack someone's value, we could be sending out this negative influence. But most of those 900 people are probably a 0 because we just don't say anything. We don't do anything. And it's not necessarily meant to be because they're in our path, but not direct enough to influence them. Here's the point here. If that's true, and I'm not counting internet, where you maybe email, or maybe you tweet sometimes, or maybe you Facebook. I'm not talking about those encounters because those also are legit influencers. 900, that's pretty significant. My point for that fourth thought up there is, are we on high alert? Do we realize that at any given time we could influence somebody, or they could influence us? Do we understand the magnitude of who we are and what we are? Once we begin to understand that, then we want to be accountable. We want to do whatever we do. It doesn't matter who it is or how we're going to affect. We want to make every second, every breath significant because it matters. And so it puts us on what I call high alert accountability. we aren't forgetting that. Wait a minute, if breaths count and seconds counts, and there's that many people that are going to come in my circle of influence, gosh, let me get that right. The last thing I have is there's a plan for accountability. How do we master that? This is just kind of a play on word, and I've made a little acronym that may help you think about accountability. If you just take the word account, and the way we act counts, and that's our accountability. And if we can look at these 5 words and maybe speak to you, what are you committed to? Everybody has to find their it. What is it? You guys kind of said this. It's maybe for confidence. It's maybe for health. It's maybe working out with my spouse and having some time together. Maybe it's the variety of activities, but I want to be here. Well, you guys have discovered your it. If we get our it right, then we say commit it to it. So that's the thing that I think D1 gets right, because what's their motto here? Iron sharpens iron. So I think their theme, other than building physically a strong temple, is to get the iron right. So they got the right it here at D1. I'm excited that this place exists here in Abilene because they have the it right. If you get the it right, the COMM is a little bit easier. You can commit to the right it. We don't get that very well in our country. I think you guys could understand this. I'm not sure for the other audiences in here. More than 50%, it's like 53% of all marriages end up divorced. Thank God we have people who love each other and have a 1-year-old daughter because you guys are committed. But I shared this with the other groups. We just had the 12 games, the 2012 Olympic Games. If there was an event called the divorce, we'd get the gold medal. Our country would. Because as a developed country, we lead other developed countries in divorce. So as a society, we don't get commit. But if you can get the it right, then the way you act counts because you got your commit right. And I think part of being a D1 is what they're trying to do with that. Who are you obedient to? And how well do you obey them? It's like those 3 groups. We have to obey somebody. I sent some guys in the Air Force here, and I bet there's some obedience here. I sense there's some fellow believers here. Are we obedient to what God has planned for us? Because we're always in some mode of obedience. We're either obedient, not very obedient, or we're rebelliously disobedient. But we're always in some form of what I call obedience. And so if we can get that right, then the way we act does count because we're staying obedient. I don't know about you. Do you guys have any distractions? Gosh, we live in an age where the distractions, the attacks on our time and our energy and our gifts are overwhelming. I think it's tough being a 21st centurian. I grew up in another country. I grew up in the 50s. There were so few distractions. Twiddling our thumbs was exciting. So, we didn't have too many things that would take away. So we would go out and play and do the kinds of games that were just kind of creative that allowed us to stay pretty undivided and focused. Today, if there's anything, if we're going to act, if the way we act counts, gosh, we have to master filtering through the things so we don't get distracted. We have to stay undivided and focused. I think one of the neat things about acting counts is that we become people of nobility. Nobility leads to excellence. And isn't it neat to think that if we can get our accounting right, if we can get the model right, that we're people of excellence. And then the iron sharpen irons works for all of us. Because if you're excellent, I become excellent. And it's that excellence, nobility in all of us that seems to come out when we act the way it counts. And in the truth, you guys know this, what's truly happening here? What will you look like 5 months from now? If you're here 5 years from now? Will you have increased your performance if that's your goal? Will you be healthy if that's your goal? Will you be more fit if that's your goal? The truth will be in this accountability model we talked about. And we'll look back on that. And if you get the truth right, the Bible says what about truth? It sets you free. What a neat way to live. Not only in a country that's free, but you get to live with yourself and the others around you because you've got the truth right. And it's a powerful way to live. So all accountability is the way that you act counts. So will you be committed? Will you be obedient? Will you be undivided? Will you be of excellence and noble character with dignity so that we can sharpen each other? And will you be set free by the truth? The truth is you guys are here. I'm proud of each of you. I'm glad you're here. I hope you have a wonderful experience at D1 because I think Justin and Hank and the others have the right model. I'm glad you're here. Hope you have a good workout tonight and just a good experience here.